right. Well, hey, good evening, everybody. It is the Off the Cuff Friday Night Live edition. We're going to switch it up a little bit tonight, and we're going to try to make it all about the chat, which means I'm going to feed off your energy, your questions. I got a few things to go over, of course, and then we're going to get phone lines open as quickly as possible, like hopefully by 8:30 would be the goal. So how's everybody doing tonight? We've got a little bit of news to go over again. We know that obviously the Lions more than likely going to lose Brock Wright. Now, I say more than likely because the Lions have 5 days to match this offer or beat it. And I just don't see them doing it. So Lions likely lose Brock Wright, who's a phenomenal blocking tight end. You know, he's still young. You know, he's coming off a nasty shoulder or arm injury of some sort that he had last season. And he wasn't set with making $3 million this year. He wanted to make more. He wanted to have a little bit of a cushion in a contract. But I hope Brock Wright sees, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel here. And that's what are you going to get for guarantee? Because I haven't seen the guarantee. I saw 3 years, 12 million. So that's $4 million a year. What is he getting for a guarantee? If any of you guys have seen it, let me know. Because to me, that's what matters. If he's not getting more than 50% of this contract guaranteed, why wouldn't you want to play 1 year and then go after a better contract next season? Is he banking on thinking that the 49ers are going to be a better team than the Lions and win again? I don't know. I've seen some of you guys' comments tonight. What is this about tampering? So I think it was Peter Van Larhoven. Now, let me welcome everybody in real quick. But Peter, get me up to speed on what you're talking about here. So of course we got Mike P, Tracy Better the Hunt. Tracy Better the Hunt is mods tonight. And Peter Van Larhoven, of course, is in here. John Desage, Rick, Uper Lights, Eric Rintamaki, Biomarker 301. Got J-Rod in the house. Bruce Morton, Sean Rounds, Toyota Tundra, Steve K, Braylon Dennis, Bob W, Josh Jackson, Donovan Amos. So we've got the loyal crew. That's what we have tonight. We got the loyalty crew. I think that's what I'm going to do in memberships is I'm going to name one the loyalty crew. At some point, once we get those things rolling. Other news before we get back into this. 4,600 subscribers today. The goal is 5,000 by draft day. So I have less than a month to get there, which means I need your help. I need you guys to share it, you know, get it out to all of your Lions family and friends and coworkers. Help me out there. Let's try to get to 5,000, which is way beyond any of the goals that I ever set. But since it's gone so well, we're going to keep setting those goals a little bit higher and higher and higher. I honestly would rather not reach them because I want to keep working harder. But Peter Van Larhoven, you had mentioned something about tampering here. So I would like to know what that is. Are we thinking of tampering with what's up, Demigod? How you doing, man? I saw you being petty in the last chat. I didn't. Which chat? I don't remember. You talking about Wednesday? Hey, tonight. It's all about the chat, man. I'm trying to do something a little bit different. I'm trying to put a theme to some of these podcasts as we get through the rest of this off season because there's just not a lot going on right now. Last year at this time, which I'm going to do next week, I started doing Lions Legends. And I was doing a full hour-long podcast about Lions Legends. And I got through, 12 or 13 of them. I would write up these full articles, and then I would obviously really write the article, and then we would talk about it. So that's what Andy and I were doing last year during this time was a lot of Lions Legends stuff. Of course, this time last year, I was getting ready for surgery to remove the cancer too. So that kind of put me down for a little bit. But So I'm not real sure what you're talking about with tampering. I saw the name Lynch in there. I guess I didn't catch it, but if you're thinking that maybe somebody's tampering with Brock Wright, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one. I don't see it. But I do believe that Brock Wright is an important piece to this team, especially as a blocker in run support. I think that his role is invaluable to this team, but that doesn't mean that we can't find somebody in the draft. And I'm expecting Brad Holmes to address this in the draft, based on the information that we're going to go over here in just a second on who's available, who's sitting there for us to be able to pluck. Shout out to Braylon Dennis for the $5 super chat. Says Brock Wright has always been clutch for us when we needed him to be. If we let him walk, I see Brad for what he truly is now. At some point though, you've got to recognize that he's not going to keep guys around that he doesn't want to overpay. He doesn't want to commit to 3 years to Brock Wright. Potentially he might commit to him. All he has to do is match it, and Brock has to sign it. So if he doesn't sign it, then Brock doesn't play. That's how it works. So if Brad matches it and Brock decides not to sign it, he sits. He cannot engage in any more conversation with any other teams. Now, that doesn't mean that another team can't come in and offer more, because they could. And I made the comment, we don't want these guys getting our playbook. I don't think that Brock would ever give our playbook away, but let's be honest here. When you go to a new team, your number one goal is to win, right? You're not going to that team holding all of these secrets in. Coaches are going to come up to you. Other players are going to come up to you. Hey, what about this guy? What is he like? What do I need to look out for him? How can I, shut this guy down? Or, what are JMO's weaknesses? What are Gibbs' weaknesses? And then those are the things that they talk about. I don't think that, they're pulling these guys in and they're putting them, in a room and interrogating them and saying, hey, we need to know, what are the first 10 plays that the Lions like to run the most? I don't think that happens. But when I say, we don't want them to get our playbook, what that means is certain information does get passed around. Now, there is some integrity to this that, these guys are professionals. That's like working for AT&T, and then you take, their blueprint and you go bring it over to Verizon and you implement the same blueprint, whatever it is, whatever marketing strategy it is. That stuff happens all the time, but that doesn't mean that, it's right. And I'm not saying that Brock Wright's going to do that. I'm not saying that he's going to go over there and just start blabbering, but now, what I see here is the 49ers potentially have an offensive and defensive component to this, where, they got Chase Lucas and now Brock Wright potentially. So we'll know in 5 days. Let's see here. Rick says we can't keep every player just because fans like them. It doesn't work that way. That's a true statement. Ken Button says they are in more sync than any GM and coach combo out there. So you must already be commenting on one of the conversations we'll have tonight is, Brad and Dan out of sync on a couple of things. And shout out to Daniel Inch for the $10 super chat. You didn't put a comment in there, but I appreciate it. Let me play you guys a couple of Dan Millers here.
Intercepted, coming back the other way. Ifatu Melifonwu. This is going to be over. Lions are going to win it. Lions are bringing the NFC North title back to Detroit. Oh Detroit, stand up. You've waited for this. One proud nation, stand up. You've waited for this.
All right. Appreciate you guys and your donations. It means a lot to this channel. It really does. It helps us keep going. Josh Jackson says, and the 49ers have made an offer for Surtain. Wow. Broncos could just be stockpiling offers for draft day too. That's a good point. I really believe that the Lions are going to be targeting somebody in the draft. I really do. I think where their picks line up right now, there's going to be an opportunity. Someone brought up Eric All from Iowa because he's an Iowa tight end. I think he's good. I don't think he's great. I think that, he's kind of the outlier when it comes to Iowa tight ends. I think he's really good, but I just don't think he's great. I don't think he's Theo Johnson great. And that's not me being biased just because I did a video on the guy, but I scouted, all the tight ends on my limited knowledge, learning more about it this year. And from what I saw, I think that Theo could be the best tight end in this draft class. He may not be the first picked. He may not have the best measurables, or the fastest speeds or, best athleticism, but he has a lot of other things that the other guys don't. And the biggest thing is he has that big chip that's on his shoulder. And the way that he talked in some of the interviews, the way that he spoke about himself and what he wants to do at the next level reminded me of Amon-Ra St. Brown. And those are the kinds of guys you want in your locker room. So will he be there in the 5th round? No, absolutely not. We don't have a 4th rounder, and now we don't have a 3rd rounder. So Brad's going to have to get multiple and quickly making some moves. He's going to have to do something to give this team a shot. So let's talk tight ends here. Who's available? This is based on information from Spotrac. So I don't know how accurate it is, because oftentimes this information is not always accurate. And I didn't have a ton of time to go and research, all of the players that got picked up. But it says in here that Logan Thomas, CJ Uzoma, and Robert Tonyan are all available. Now, CJ makes sense because I think he was released in the beginning of March, and Robert Tonyan was on a 1-year deal. So those are the two that I would think of right away that would make sense if you're looking for a big blocking tight end. And Tonyan is actually someone that can hurt you. He can definitely hurt you in the red zone. We know that. He did it to us plenty of times. He's almost on the wrong side of 30 here. He'll be turning 30 soon. CJ's 31. Logan Thomas is 32. But these guys are probably going to cost in, that 2.5, 3.5 neighborhood for one season. So I don't think that, it's all lost. I think that if we do lose Brock Wright, that, I wouldn't be surprised if Brad Holmes has already been on the phone talking to some of these guys that are available to see, what's out there and, who's willing, to sign a 1-year deal. The biggest thing that I have for a question, though, is, I get it that Brock Wright's probably looking for a little bit more security. But, man, just everything that just happened with the Lions, like, why would you want to leave that team? Everything that's going in the right direction, or maybe he sees the writing on the wall and he feels like he can be, a bigger asset on the offense and wants more playing time, wants more passes. And now with Sam Laporta, he's not going to get that. I don't even know who the tight end is for the 49ers, honestly. I probably should, but I don't right now. Let's see here. They got George Kittle. I don't know why I couldn't think. George Kittle, Cameron Latu, Braden Willis, Jake Tonger. They don't even need a tight end. They got 4. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Let's see. Bob W says, with who we have plus the 7 draft picks, if we draft 7, will we be able to retain them all? Maybe use some picks to move up, trade capital. Don't know if Brad would spend the money on Surtain. What are you talking about there, Bob? With the 7 draft picks, would we be able to retain them all? When we draft players, we retain all of them for at least, 3-4 seasons, unless they're absolutely trash. Then they don't even make the team in year 1, which is yet to happen. We've kept everybody around. I think the only couple of players that we had issues with were James Houston, which came back. Chase Lucas, and Jamar Jefferson. I think those are the only three. Just about everybody else is stuck around. And this year, because of where we're drafting, it's only going to cost us like 10 to 12 million for the rookie contracts. Whereas before, picking up, in the top 10 all the time, top 5 even, or top 6, you're talking 18 to 20 million per season. And if you trade up and you get 2 guys in the, first round early, well, yeah, then you're talking even more money. But yeah, our guys will stick around. No doubt about it. As far as Surtain goes, look, this guy is going to require some draft capital, like big time. I don't see Brad doing it. If he wasn't going to trade for L'Jarius Sneed, he's not trading for Surtain, even though Surtain is younger. I don't see it happening. There's just no way. One, Surtain's probably going to want a new deal that the Denver Broncos can't give him because their cap situation is terrible. He's in his 4th year of his rookie deal. So he wants a new deal. So whatever team, he would go to if a trade did happen, which Denver would be stupid to get rid of him. And last year they said they would never trade him or get rid of him. So I don't know where all that's coming from. I haven't seen anything on it. Yeah, there you go. Better the hunt. That's a good point. It says maybe San Francisco just wants us to spend extra money. The funny thing about that is, whether you're giving the guy $3 million this year or $3 million or $4 million this year, next year, and the year after, it's not really hurting us. It's just $4 million bucks, in the grand scheme of things. If we would have ever thought that this was going to be an issue, we get that $3 million back now. So now that $3 million or 2.985, whatever it was, will be back on the cap after 5 days if Brock is not retained. And you could have plugged that money in, and guess who we could have had? And I've said it before, L'Jarius Sneed. Could have had him. And like I said before, you could have had him. And if you really wanted to get off of him next year, you could have traded him. You could have got your 3rd round and your 7th round pick back and, spent the same amount of money that you're spending on Carlton and now the loss of Brock Wright to have a number 1 corner. But I'm not going to go deep down the rabbit hole on that one. Peter says if Brad was good with 3, then why is 4 an issue? What are we talking about here? 3 tight ends versus 4? And Demigod, did I miss a question from you? Can NFL teams keep a player contract under wraps without the media knowing? Ooh, I don't know about that. I have no idea. That's usually not the case. There's a reason why companies like Spotrac and OTC and PFF and all of these other stats and analytical data centers are out there. For some reason, it's just been public knowledge. Yeah, the chat's flying right now too, Demigod. It's flying. Sean Rounds, like 4 weeks ish. 4 weeks ish. Okay, so Peter Van Laarhoven, your question was if he was good with 3, why wouldn't he be good with 4? I think it's the length of the contract. It's 3 years versus 1. And, I think that Brad Holmes is the type of GM that has already forecasted probably the next 3 to 5 years of where this team is going and what players they're going to be selecting in the draft, or at least what positions they're going to be targeting. If I understand, the way some of these GMs operate, you've planned for years in advance, You've projected finances for years in advance. Of course, it really never goes that way. You're going to have probably a 10 or 15% rule in there that, you're going to spend some and save some any given year. But I think that he's way out on what he wants to do. So to back up your question, Demigod, you said I asked that because I think St. Brown would prefer the world not knowing what he's making long enough to where the media is not discussing his pocket for another player's value. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think what I'm gathering from St. Brown, he's kind of out of pocket right now. Like he's really, he's out there with everything. He puts everything out there. He's not shy at all. News Drifter says, question, do you think there is any pressure on Brad not to trade out of the first round because the draft is in Detroit this year and it would disappoint the hometown fans? I don't think Brad gives a crap what he does to the fans. I think he has one job on his mind, and I don't mean that negatively. I mean that like his job is to build a football team, not make the fans happy. He'll make the fans happy by winning football games. So I think that that's on his mind first and foremost. He needs to handle the business end before he, worries about what the fans think. Does that make sense? And that's a good idea, News Drifter. So when we do these, all about the live chat on Fridays, try to do that. If you can, put question in front of whatever your question is, because that way I'll see that it's a question and that it's different from you just responding to everybody else in the chat. Does that make sense? Can we do that? Can we try it? I think that'll help. Or at least it'll help me. All right, while we're working that in, let me get to something else. We know, and I'm sure you guys have already heard this, uniforms will be announced on April 18th. So the new unis, April 18th. Now, I'm going to drop a little knowledge here. And I probably shouldn't, but from what I understand, there's a little stars and stripe action going on here in these unis. And we've already seen the colorway, the black and the blue, the 3D look. But the stars and the stripes are supposed to be worked into this uniform somehow. That's all I'm going to say. I'm hoping that the information is good, because the ideas that I've got running through my head right now, this could be some insane work on uniforms, and it's really going to blow away what they've done in the past. So I'm excited about it. I'm really excited. I wish they would have done it on the draft night, though. Like, the first pick that walks out in the Lions uniform or something. Yeah, some stars and stripes. We worked into this somehow. And I was keyed into that too. I got all, the hats and that coming. I don't know if you guys ordered hats yet, but you better hurry, because they're gonna sell out or take 3 or 4 weeks to get to you if you wait. But anyway, next up is don't bet on bets. So let me try something here. I'm going to try to segment this. I added a little transition in here, and then I'm going to transition into don't bet on bets. Here we go. All right, so this next segment, don't bet on bets. What does it mean? Brad Holmes is talking about Mathieu Betts not being somebody that we should probably look forward to at this time. We need to wait and see what he has and who he's going to develop into, and if he's even going to make the roster. So there was a couple of articles that came out about general manager Brad Holmes talking about the difficulty of scouting when it comes to the Canadian Football League, but most importantly, Mathieu Betts, and hinted at they have some really crazy methods. Now, they did not give away what their methods are, but back before free agency started, we know the Detroit Lions signed Mathieu Betts. He had a crazy productive season. Given that Betts was named the CFL's most outstanding defensive player in 2023, it was a signing that drew a ton of attention, not only from the fans, but also from, the inner workings of Allen Park and Brad Holmes, obviously. So a lot of us thought right away, man, this guy's got the goods. And I broke him down. I did a video on it. Every single one of us was in agreement, I think, that this guy has the goods. But we didn't really take into account, I did, but I don't think that all of us take into account that the CFL it's not NFL type offensive linemen, number one. Number two, they play off the ball, like 2 yards or at least 1 yard. So immediate contact is different at the CFL level versus the NFL level. And for a few other reasons, there's concerns and questions that mount when you try to evaluate somebody that's playing differently than how the NFL game is played. Number one, is going up against, the best of the best in CFL, and those might be third stringers in the NFL. It's very difficult to find offensive line help in the NFL already, at least good quality starters. And if those guys just existed in the CFL, then we would see more of those players added to NFL rosters. Now, Betts did finish 2023 with 18 sacks, 4 forced fumbles in 18 games. Following the season, he had a private workout with the Detroit Lions back in December. But due to the strict CFL rules, they weren't allowed to sign him until their new league year started. And when that window eventually opened up, Betts opted to sign with the Lions over any other options. Now, I don't know what other options he was given. I haven't seen any of that stuff come out yet. But we did get a few quotes from Betts, over the last couple of months where he saw that there was a window of opportunity to make the Detroit Lions 53-man roster. And here's what he had to say. He said, that's the roster we were the most confident that I could crack. Betts said this in a video conference in February. It was the first workout that I had this offseason, and the chemistry, the energy, the discussions I've had with the staff over there just felt right. The Lions, they obviously liked what they saw. They signed Betts, of course, to, futures contract. He's got a relentless playing style, extremely high motor. He's got vicious hands. He's a pure tackler. We could go on and on and on about what his tape looks like. Brad Holmes had this to say. He said, man, that guy plays hard. He plays like how we want to play. And obviously with all that production, let's just go and take a shot and see where it goes. But Holmes did preach a lot of caution with Betts. And that's why I called this segment, Don't Bet on Betts. Good offensive line depth is hard to find in the NFL. So imagine the kind of players that Betts was rushing against and at the CFL level. Holmes knows you can't put too much stock into the CFL production. Holmes went on to say this. He said, obviously had a lot of production, but you look at the competition and it's not the same as what he's going to be facing at this level. So you've got to keep that in mind as well with all the production he has. Look, I'm excited about Betts. I think that this is a great opportunity for him to crack a roster. I think it's a great opportunity for the Lions to find that diamond in the rough, and finding, other means of ways to find players where maybe other teams aren't generally looking all the time. It went on to say Holmes wasn't willing to give up any of the information about the scouting team and what they look for in this rigorous process that they went through to evaluate a player like Betts. But what he said and this is his exact word, it was extra, that these scouting professionals had to do that, go through the extra mile here. He said when they don't do that, play in all-star games is what he was talking about. You've got to really do your work, and we've gone through some exercises on it. I don't even want to get into details, but we've gone through some exercises that you'd probably call us pretty crazy for what we've done. I'll say this. There's a way you can find the answers to the test and get your questions answered, but you've got to really dive deep. So where is this going to end with Betts? Hopefully on the 53-man roster is where I would love to see him. If Brad Holmes is confident in the ability of his scouting team and these exercises that they put Betts through, then I'm pretty confident this guy could probably have the best shot ever to make this roster in his first shot. I can't imagine that it's going to be any worse than what we had last year. But if this guy gives us at least half the energy that he had last season in the CFL, I think we're already winning. You give him a full offseason, with AG and this defense, and I think sky's the limit for this kid. But I think that at the end of the day, we need to take a step back as fans and not just expect that every guy that they're bringing in is going to work out, because that's not going to happen. It's never happened. Brad has been very lucky with his drafts, or very calculated, very consistent, or maybe he's just that good. But there's some times where we're going to take some lumps. We're going to have some misses. Betts is one of those players where you can really have a big miss here. And I hope that they figure that out before they do the 53-man cut. And they'll have plenty of opportunity, as long as Betts stays healthy, to see him in action all summer long. So that's it for this little segment on Don't Bet on Betts. All right. So what's up next? How about some phone calls? Let's get the phone open. Lions also announced their off-season plans. Let me get the phone plugged in here. And, I've got a couple of questions for you guys too tonight. Like, this kickoff rule that is now changed. Do you guys think that this is going to be a great move for the NFL to spark some more offensive scoring and make the game a little bit more exciting? Because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to add more points to the game. They're trying to add more scoring to the game. They're trying to give, the fans more excitement throughout the game. But at the end of the day, they're also trying to limit injuries. Before I get into the offseason plan, I'll throw this out at you guys. Do you want to see Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs returning kicks? Are those two players that you're willing to risk now that you can have two guys back there? You have to. Who are you sticking back there? Maybe Cleve Raymond's one of them. But now you have an opportunity where you need a blazing fast kick returner. I mean, teams were so worried about this that Cordero Patterson was signed the same minute that they passed this rule. I think the Steelers signed him immediately because they needed a returner. No one has been planning to have a returner on their team. So how does this affect, players like Jason Kabinda and others? Let's see who we got on the line. Thank you for calling Rock Down Detroit Lions. This is Will. Who do I got on the line tonight?
What's up, bro? It's Donovan.
Donovan Amos, my man. How you doing? What's going on tonight?
Nothing, just eats pizza right now, but I was wondering, when do you think like the third round would be a good round to take an edge rusher?
The third round? I guess it depends it depends on who's there. I don't know that I want to wait till the third round. Hey, before I forget, do you guys notice the new sign behind me? The Rise and Grind sign? Can you guys see it okay? Did you notice it, Donovan?
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
I literally just hung it up before I jumped on. I'm going to rework it all, but that came today about 10 minutes before I jumped on. So just want to make sure you guys can actually see it. So anyway, to your question here, third round. Look, I think you can get a good quality player in any round. We've seen Brad Holmes do it. I think that the question is this, though. Do you want to take a risk on not taking a top tier guy early? And what would be your reasoning for taking one in the third round?
I think Chris Chris Braswell would be there. I want Chris Braswell and Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Oh, wow. You think that Chris Braswell is going to slip to the third? That would be huge.
Yeah. Is it really hard? I don't think it's really hard to hit on the edge rusher.
I don't know. I mean, there's only a couple that seem to even do anything in every draft. I mean, look at the year that the Aiden Hutchinson came out. You had Kayvon Thibodeau and Aiden Hutchinson were about it. Last year, you had Will Anderson, who obviously shocked the world, and Kobe Turner, the guy that, I thought was going to be great, but he played defensive tackle. Who else did you really have last year? There was a true defensive end that came out of the draft just swinging,
Yeah. What if Marshawn even falls to the third round? I think life is going to be really easy for whatever edge rusher we draft because we already got 3 superstars on the D-line. The pass rush is fixed.
So if I remember correctly, we're picking 29, 61, and 73, right? And if you want a wide receiver, you're going to have to take a wide receiver at 29 or 61. But more importantly, if you want a wide receiver that can be a number one and be an X receiver, you're going to have to move that 61 to 45 or add a pick somewhere around 45 if you want one of the best. Marshawn Nealand, you mentioned him. I do like him. I understand that he's just a Western Michigan product, and a lot of people, kind of poo-poo on the fact that he's from a smaller school. But Marshawn Nealand, he fits just about everything that this team is about, and he has a certain skill set and athleticism about him that would make a great defensive end. He may not jump off the page year one, but he's going to be pretty consistent, and he'll get consistently better as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah, you definitely gonna have to take your wide receiver in like the second round, and you got to take your corner in the first round. So really, if you really want to hit on the corner, but I think we should fleece the Arizona Cardinals. I've been seeing some stupid trades like with the Houston Texans. I think you can fleece some of these teams out their picks.
Well, I think the Arizona Cardinals is probably one of the best teams to trade with in this draft. One, they have a ton of picks, so they know that their picks are very valuable where they're picking. Every year I look at, where these teams are picking at, and that's how I evaluate, what pick I would want to get the guy that I would want. And last year it was Arizona. And I thought that pick 12 was going to be perfect. I also thought that, moving out into like pick 26 to grab Mozzie Smith is where you needed to be. And Mozzie went at 26 or 25 or whatever. I think he went at 26. So looking at the players, where they might fall in early mock drafts, even though none of them are really going to be accurate, they're close. And I think that where Arizona is picking, if they didn't trade one pick, they will end up having the best draft out of anybody.
Yeah.
That's why I want their picks.
And who wouldn't want to have 3 first-round picks? I think they really, if they can get 3 first-round picks and give us like a second and a third, we need to be trying to get a fourth too. Because if we get four picks in the top 100 and then we get another fourth-round pick, all we really need is 5 picks. So if we can get a first, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and the fourth-round pick, you should be able to get all starters.
Yeah, here's my dream scenario. The Lions keep pick 29, 61, and 73. They keep those 3 picks. They add a pick somewhere between 42 and 48, and they add a pick somewhere between 15 and 19. If they could somehow pull that off, they would have an incredible draft. I don't care about the rest of the picks, but that means that they're going to have to give up, 2025 second round pick, 2025, probably both your 4th round picks, 2026, probably a 1st round pick and a 2nd round pick. So is it worth it for you to give up 2 seconds, 2 fourths, and a 1st to add 2 picks at, 15 to 19 and, somewhere between 42 and 45-ish, somewhere in that range. Is it worth it to give up that much draft capital? I'd say it is. If you're trying to win a Super Bowl right now with the coaches that you have, the team that you have, and you want your team to be solid and young for the foreseeable future, you do it. You almost have to. You'll add more picks later.
What you said, trade all our picks for 2 first rounds?
No. So we keep all of our picks. So you keep you keep 29, 61, and 73. But you're going to trade away your 2025 second and both fourths and your 2025 or 2026 first and second. So you'll be giving up a first in 2026, a second in 2026, a second in 2025, and 2 fourth-round picks in 2025 to move up into the first round, to add another pick in the first round, and to move up to add a pick in the mid-40s. Is probably what it would take to do it.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's a lot of future capital, but I bet you these teams will go for that. They be trading people for like 7-round picks. I don't know what they got Justin for, but they'll probably go for that too.
I mean, you just got to look at the pick value, and if you go back and look at a lot of the drafts, the last few seasons, and you look at the trades, and then you do it by pick value, most of these picks were pretty even, or most of the trades were pretty even. Except for when you get up into the top 5, you're going to lose your shirt. If you're trying to move into the top 5, you're giving up 2 firsts and probably a second-round pick. I don't care where you're moving from. You're either giving up this year's first and next year's first to move up 15 spots in the first round. I mean, that's generally what it costs.
Yeah. And, the D-line is fixed. Now that I think about it, I think we can match player for player with Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, and D'Amico Autry, because we got DJ Reader, Lee McNeil, and Aiden Hutchinson, and James Houston, if you want to count him. So the D-line is fixed. You just got to add a couple more pieces. But
so here's a question by Adam. It says, how far can you get with the 29th pick and a 3rd round pick? So are you saying to package the 29th and the 3rd? You could probably get to 25. You might be able to move up 5 spots, maybe 4 spots, 6 spots. I can't imagine much further than that. If I understand your question.
Is he talking about? So he's talking about trading 2 of our picks just to get.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about moving up in the first round, and you package your 29, pick 29 and a 3rd round pick in 2024, I think you're only going to move up a few spots. Here, I'll bring up a draft calculator. Let me bring up a draft calculator real quick.
That'll basically be the whole draft, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you'd have a really light draft. So Donovan, what kind of pizza you eating tonight, man?
Pepperoni. I had to get some pizza. I was dieting for like a month.
Where'd you get it from though? Who's your favorite pizza spot?
Oh, Jets.
Oh, Jets.
Jets.
They got some good crust, man.
Bro, your boy Lion Syndicate chirping. He's coming out with some wild takes.
What, today? I haven't seen any today.
No, I'm about to read you the tweet.
The tweets. Oh, I saw a couple of the tweets.
He said, if the Lions don't make the Super Bowl, basically I'm gonna put it in your face.
All right, sorry. Pick evaluator here. So if we traded 29 and 73, we get 1,228 points of value. And if we were to trade that for pick 20, we would still be ahead. So let me go to pick 15. There's nobody that would do this trade though. I guarantee it. You'd be even or just about even at pick 14. So if you traded your pick 29 and 23 or in 73, you could move up to pick 14. But I don't see one team doing that. Ain't no way. Ain't no way someone's only going to take a third round pick for you to move up 15 spots into the middle of the first round where all of the best players are. I mean, that's the end of it. I mean, you have to look at the value of the draft too, right? So I would say that it would require another third round or fourth round pick included at a minimum to do that, at a minimum. But that's where Jared Versay is supposed to be. I would love to see Jared Verse on this team. I like Chris Braswell too, Donovan. I don't see Braswell making it out of the second round at all.
Yeah, I think we probably gonna have a good opportunity to get a Marshawn Nealon, probably a Braylon Trice. I don't know if he's gonna be there, but
so Bucky, hold on here. Bucky was asking about the Minnesota trade with the Lions. Let's look at that real quick. And you got to remember too, that was 2 seasons ago. Things change. So the Lions traded picks number 32, 34, and 66 to Minnesota for pick number 12 and 46. So let me put those in the pick evaluator. 32, 34, 66. We got back 12 and 46. That was a good trade by the Lions. I think we fleeced them on that one. So the Lions gave up 2,014 points, and the Vikings gave up 1,937 points. So we gave up about 80 points, 80 more points than they did. And when you look at that trade overall, you gave up a first round pick, a second round pick, and 66 is basically a second. I mean, it's a very early first round pick or a very early third round pick. Very high quality pick in the 60s. So again, that would be the equivalent of the Lions taking 29, 61, and 73. That's only worth 1,710 points. So if we traded the 3 picks that we have right now, it would not equal the trade that we pulled off with the Vikings back then.
yeah, Brad gonna draft best player available, whether it's defense or not, as long as they can help the team. Because we could have won. We probably could have won a Super Bowl with just our offense. So
hold on a second.
I feel like we're gonna be good. We're gonna be good regardless.
Yeah, hold on here. Bucky says, according to sources, we're trading pick 29 for J.C. Horn and Surtain anyways, so it's kind of a moot point.
Y'all calling out line talk live?
Yeah, man, that Jesus. I mean, come on. Oh, I don't even know why.
The Duke crew, bro.
Huh?
Dan in the Duke crew, the Mountain Dew crew, bro.
Yeah,
the morning show.
I think they're drinking something else other than Dew. Oh my goodness!
I don't know where he up with that, bro.
He pulls it to the same place he wipes from. But yeah, is what it is. If you're gonna use sources, you got to be able to burn them down. There's not one thing that I've given to you guys that is, come from a source or from myself that hasn't come true. I'm very regarded in that way that if I'm going to say this is going to happen or it's supposed to happen or per a source, it better happen. You can't go 0-40 and get everything wrong all the time and expect people to believe in you later, because that's how you ruin credibility pretty quickly. And that's,
let's be honest. None of us got that dude. Don't got no source. I don't believe that.
No.
He ain't got no source.
No. It's all for clicks, man. Yeah, it's all for clicks.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Hey, if people want to tune in and listen to it, that's their prerogative, man. I mean, hey, I ain't got nothing against it other than try not to make the rest of us look bad that are actually trying to do it right, you know?
Yeah.
That's all.
All right, but I just wanted to come on here and kick it.
All right, man. Well, enjoy your pizza.
For sure.
See ya. All right. So up next here, Lions off-season plan. And phone line's open, by the way, if you guys want to call in. If you need the number, just let me know. Lions off-season plan. So on Friday, the NFL announced that the off-season workout calendar for all 32 teams. And there's kind of 3 phases to it in the off-season program every year. And it's part of the new CBA, which is the NFL collective bargaining agreement with the NFLPA, the Players Association, on behalf of the players that they worked out a couple years ago, a few seasons ago anyway. So phase 1 consists of the first 2 weeks of the program with activities limited to meetings, strength and conditioning, and physical rehab only. For the Detroit Lions, players like wide receiver Khalif Raymond, Emmanuel Mosley, they'll likely fall into the category of those who will be rehabbing injuries during phase 1. Phase 2 will consist of the following 3 weeks of the program. You have some on-field workouts. They may include individual or group instruction and drills, as well as perfect play drills and plays with offensive players lining up across from offensive players and defensive players lining up across from defensive players, conducted at a walk-through pace. No live contact or team offense versus team defense drills are permitted. Phase 3 consists of the next 4 weeks of the program. Teams may conduct a total of 10 days of organized team practice activity, or what is considered OTAs. No live contact is permitted, but 7-on-7, 9-on-7, and 11-on-11 drills are permitted. No contact is permitted during any off-season training work. Some teams, never the Lions, have gotten into trouble with the league for violating that rule over the years. So first day is Monday, April 15th. Rookie camp should be the first or second week or weekend of May following the draft. So that'll be either May 4 through 5 or 11 through 12. And then OTAs will start promptly on May 21 to 23, and then May 29 to 31, and then June 10 to 12. So mandatory mini camp is June 4 through 6. And then we'll get into training camp sometime, early July, and we let the fun begin. So that's your off-season program. I mean, can you guys believe that we're already almost to the draft? We're a month away, and we are literally 5 to 6 weeks away to when the team starts to get back together again, and they start to practice, and football is alive and well. Seems like we just never have any time off. You've got the Super Bowl, and it seems like you're just right back into it. You blink, and it's here. John Desage here. I'll put the number in the chat. You guys can store it. The number doesn't change or anything. Just remember, I only have the one line. I'll try to get that changed here once the new computer is rocking and rolling. We'll have everything set up. Hopefully, we'll have new software system by then too. Once the new computer is done, because I can't keep going through these issues, man. It's clearly this laptop can't handle all the work that I do. So last night, let's talk about Hendon Hooker and Jared Goff for a moment, if you guys don't mind. I want to hear I don't know if all of you watched the video that I put out, but I was listening to a show yesterday, one of which was Derek's Live. I think it's called Lions Weekly. And there was a lot of people talking about Hendon Hooker being this savior for Detroit Lions football and how he should be starting over Jared Goff, how the Lions, this wasn't coming out of Derek's mouth. He was, talking with people in the chat, and a lot of the stuff was coming out of the chat that you don't pay Goff. You just let him ride off into the sunset after this season. You get Hooker ready to go and put him into the game plan in 2024. But it got me thinking, this is all the same stuff that I heard last year. And I started saying to myself, like, do people not realize that he was coming back from an ACL? And he went down in November of 22. Like, he's not coming back until at least November of 23. He could have never played, ever. I mean, not even a possibility. He missed the entire offseason, all of rookie camp, all of training camp. He was walking around with a football in his hand. That's all he could do. He wasn't allowed to practice, wasn't allowed to do drills, just like what you heard me read here about, all of the strength and conditioning and physical rehab. That's what he was allowed to do. He was part of phase 1. That was it. He was phase 1. He never made it to phase 2 or phase 3 until he was activated the last 6 weeks of the season. And only at that point was he even allowed to take a snap and practice with the rest of the team. Before that, he was largely relegated to classroom work and, going through the playbook and being helpful on the sideline and game planning and, watching tape and everything else that he could do. So it doesn't make any sense to me why people say this stuff. He has never taken a snap in the NFL. And he came from a Tennessee system that was so convoluted, high schoolish type offense that it does not translate at all to the NFL. And a lot of NFL scouts were actually worried about the players coming from Tennessee, especially the offensive players, that, they weren't, developing at the same rate as everybody else because they were using such a funky system in Tennessee. This wide system where you've got wide receivers like all the way to both boundaries. You do not see that in the NFL. We haven't seen that in 30 years probably. It just doesn't work. How's it going, Chris? Time. Nice to see you in here too. So I just want to make sure that, we're on the same page here, that Hendon Hooker, number 1, I projected to the Lions. You guys know that. Number 2, I thought he was going to be a perfect fit and he was going to be taken in the 3rd round and the Lions would get him. And all that happened. And I'm excited that he's a part of this team because I do believe that given time, Hendon Hooker will be a very, very, very good asset to any team that he's on in more ways than a starting quarterback, but even a solid backup that gives you and gives your defense a different look during practice. Someone that can also be a little bit more of the dual threat guy in practice. He's also got a cannon for an arm. But that does not mean, that does not mean that he has NFL level processing yet. He can't just come in and, get through it all, snap, like Jared Goff is. Goff is one of the best at pre-snap and post-snap and getting the ball to where it needs to go. He was 4th best in the league with on-target throws last year. 4th best. That's pretty damn good. He was a top 5 in just about every category that mattered. So Hendon Hooker is not the savior. And before I bring this caller in, the other thing that I'll mention too is Jared Goff is going to get paid. Hello? Yep. 1 second, caller. 1 second, caller. I'll bring you right in. So Goff's going to get paid. And Kirk Cousins just got a big bag at 35 years old. There's no reason why Goff at 29 can't play another 6, 8, 9 years in the league and play at least another 5 at a very high level. He just had his best season ever as a quarterback. And there's no reason in the world why he can't continue to play well. And the last thing I'll say, and then I'll bring the caller in, is this: paying Goff $47.5 million or $50 million is not going to hurt this team. It is not going to restrict this team from extending all of the players that they need to extend. The difference between what Goff made last year and what he's about to make is $15 million. The cap just went up $30 million. So we are still positive $15 million when we extend Goff. I don't know if you guys think about it that way, but that's how you have to look at it. The cap keeps going up. So what we have now will be more next year. All right, let me bring the caller in. All right, this is Will with Rockdown Detroit Lions. Who do I got on the line today?
This is John Duchet, man. How you doing?
Good, John. How are you? I'm glad you said your name, because I've been calling your name wrong this entire time.
It's all good. I get it my whole life. I'm glad we're talking about this. Not necessarily a Hooker versus Goff thing, but, Hendon Hooker can play a huge role in the Lions' future. And that's if he works out, because we've still never had a rookie on a quarterback on a rookie deal start for us under this CBA.
Yeah.
And every quarter that happens, every team that's won Super Bowls have had rookie quarterbacks under the CBA. They all get contracts eventually, but still, from Seattle to Kansas City, they all had them, other than Tampa Bay with Tom Brady and New England.
What do you mean?
I'm hoping.
What do you mean by CBA? Are you talking about the new collective bargaining agreement?
The one, yeah, the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay,
when they changed the whole contracts, deals, and stuff.
Yep.
I mean, Matt Stafford made $70 million his rookie year.
Right.
Yep. Or something like that, some absurd amount of money. But we've never had that, and I'm all for Jared Goff. I'm a big Goff fan, especially if he's winning. But Hendon Hooker, if he could be a game changer at his money he's making, that's what you look for.
Okay, well,
not necessarily he's going to be better than Goff.
Of course you look for that. I mean, you would love to be able, to have a CJ Stroud on your team that you're paying, 25 million over the next 4 seasons. You would love to have that situation. But see, here's the stats, and this is accurate. I've done the shows with you guys about this stuff. There's only been 3 quarterbacks since 2016 that have done anything as a rookie, and it takes on average 2.5 to 3 seasons for that rookie to even have a winning season. So if you get a rookie right now, we won't be winning until 2026 or 27 at least.
Yeah, but most of the rookie quarterbacks that get drafted go to bad situations. Hendon Hooker or take CJ Stroud. He's in Houston. I mean, yeah, they made the playoffs this year, but he got drafted to a bad football team. They weren't a solidified. What he did this year was miraculous. Joe Burrow got drafted by a bad Cincinnati team. And they're winning. They won. They've succeeded. They were good teams. It's just, I would rather hold off on paying Jared Goff. I would even throw in the franchise tag for Jared Goff for a year. What if Hendon Hooker comes out this preseason and just awes people with his legs, with his cannon of an arm, and then you're looking at, maybe we don't need to extend Jared Goff.
He's probably going to wow some people because he has a cannon for an arm. But the biggest question is, can he play at the NFL level? And you will never know that until he's in an NFL game. Preseason's not preseason's not going to matter. You'll never be able to figure it out in preseason either, because he's going up against second and third fiddle.
In practice, he's never even really had a full practice.
Then that's exactly why he won't be able to do anything this year at all. And if you're willing to roll the dice, on Hendon, then you're going to totally bag 2024, just bag it and play for 2025. That's your only choice.
I mean, Jared Goff's under contract for 2024.
Right.
And if you can keep Jared Goff for 2024 and he plays well, say the Lions go to the Super Bowl, you could get away with franchise tagging Jared Goff again. You don't necessarily have to give him, unless he wants a good, a team-friendly contract, which, a lot of these guys do. And they restructured their deals and all kinds of things. But, I think Jared Goff, I don't know him personally, but, I don't see him taking no pay cut to stay in Detroit.
So
he's got a hot wife. They live in LA.
But
he's a Cali boy.
But the thing is Jared Goff doesn't make the decision. That's the problem. See, that's what not everybody understands is Jared Goff plays football. His agent makes all of his decisions financially. So Jared can't just say, what? He can't say, hey, Mr. Rosenberg or whoever his agent is, I only want to play for 20 million this year. And they're going to say, I want my 5% on that. Right. I want my 5% on that 50 million. What are you talking about? Ain't happening.
Right. That's the thing. Usually they sign those bigger contracts and restructure down the road. They always get their money. It's just pushed down the road. That's just the way the NFL is. It's always been like that, even with defensive ends. I'm really hoping that Jared Goff proves himself, even maybe for a 3-year contract. Not necessarily. I'm a Big Ten guy. I'm never been a Hendon Hooker fan, but we've never had that in Detroit. And we've been a season ticket holder for almost 16 years now. So it's
nice.
I've never had it other than Matt Stafford, and big fan, but some things it's nice to see them win, but you also want to see different situations that, will entertain you.
So let me ask you this, John. You sound like a pretty level-headed guy. So let me ask you this, because there's been some comments, and I don't know if you were one of them, but I've seen it that, where they say, well, Jared Goff only did what he did because he's got a certain offensive line and he had Amon-Ra St. Brown. And here's what I want people to understand. There is not one top 8 team that finished last year that had a bad offensive line, a bad defense, a bad wide receiver room other than KC, or a bad running back. They all had great players, and that's how the NFL works.
That's the NFL. Yeah, it's the epitome of team sport. And, I played football my whole life, and we've had good offensive lines and teams and bad defensive lines, and it didn't really matter. You got to be good all around. That's where I don't think Jared Goff gets enough credit, to be honest here, because he's not a flashy quarterback. Sometimes he looks really unathletic when he's running around or when he rolls out. He looks really unathletic. He's still effective because, I don't care how he throws the ball. As long as it gets where it's got to go, that's all it's got to be to me. As long as they're winning, nothing else matters.
Exactly. And so this league is all about timing. Ben Johnson's offense is all about timing. So when I hear people say, well, we need that clutch guy that can, do this with his legs and do this with his arm. Well, if you've got to do those things, then that means that your offensive line is breaking down. That means that somebody's not in position. Somebody didn't get open. That's not what you want. You want a team that is working together within the scheme and getting open.
Yeah, well, that's what makes quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes so great, is that they make those miraculous plays and miraculous games with no wide receivers, and just broken plays that go for yards, and
but he's also always had Kelsey. He's also always had Kelsey.
Always had Travis Kelsey and Tyreek Hill.
The line, and the line, so it's not like he didn't have somebody. Jared Goff has had Amon-Ra St. Brown for 2 seasons. That's it. He had Sam Laporta for 1 season. He did it with a rookie. He made Sam Laporta one of the best tight ends ever to play the game. And then you had a rookie running back in Jahmyr Gibbs that didn't do a whole lot in the passing game. He didn't even start to click until week 6 in the running game. He had some good games, but he finally started to click. And then you got a second tier. 5 or 6 carries in the first couple games. Yeah, then you've got a second tier running back in David Montgomery. He is not a top 10 running back in this league. He just played really well behind our offensive line, which he's never been able to play behind an offensive line like that before. So when you look at what Jared Goff really had, it was very comparable to every other team. The 49ers by far had the most weapons out of any team when they were all healthy.
Yeah, when they were all healthy. Yeah, but that's what made Brock Purdy so successful, is San Francisco was still a run-first offense. Yeah. The Lions, people forget, even though Jared Goff threw for a crap ton of yards this year, and they're still a run-first offense, and people forget all this. If Hendon Hooker, even with his cannon of an arm and stuff, This team is built to be a run-first offense, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it goes. Penei Sewell's he's gonna set the market for an offensive tackles. We just signed what was that guy from Baltimore? He make the Hall of Fame. You know, like these guys are going to be really good. Their offensive line. I hope they don't get away from all this. You know, because I feel like J-Mo's going to have a breakout year this year. He may crack 800, 900 yards, I think, but we'll see. You know, and everything can change. I'm a run first guy. Play some defense. I hope they get a lot of defensive help in this draft, and they can use it. And I feel like people throw some respect on Jared Goff's name.
There we
He's
go.
a good quarterback.
There we go. Thanks for calling, John. Appreciate you calling, my man.
Easy, man.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot. Look, I get it. We have yet to see the Lions have, you know, a true rookie quarterback outside of Matthew Stafford come through the ranks. And give me 1 second, caller. I'll bring you right in.
All right.
You know, we have yet to see a new rookie come in. Matthew Stafford was our last rookie. He played for the Lions for 12 seasons. One of the best quarterbacks to ever do it, could never get it done in Detroit. So that's why it doesn't matter if you bring in a rookie or not. It took him till he was 33 years old to finally win a Super Bowl on a good team. The Lions have never really had a good team up until now. And now we have a quarterback that can win. That doesn't mean you just shake it all up and see what falls out, because I guarantee you, if Hendon Hooker starts on this team this year, we are not going anywhere. We will not make the playoffs. I guarantee it. It's too difficult. All right, let's see who we got on the line.
What up, dog?
Oh, hey, who we got? Rob?
Sports Talk with Rob. You already know.
All right, Rob. What's happening, man?
What's up, man? I ain't gonna be on here too long, bro. But I just had to say something because I ain't gonna lie. It was getting on my nerves when hearing this Hendon Hooker conversation, because I'm trying to understand, why are we rushing our rookie quarterback? And I know it's his second year, but he's really a rookie. Like, why are we trying to rush this young man? Like, he need to just let him learn from the best first. You know what I'm saying? So when his time do come, he be ready. You know? But man, Jared Goff is now, bro. Let's come on, man. Like, and I saw that show with Derek mentioned it. Like, I was just thinking, like people are just trolling out here, bro. Like, there's no way you think Hendon Hooker should be their quarterback right now, or ever have a thought of saying picking him over Goff. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, no.
Well,
Goff
yeah.
is now, he might be now the next 4 years. Like, that's how I look at it.
You make a good point. So, you know, the quarterbacks that have done very well in this league have sat behind somebody for a couple of seasons. And you're right that, you know, this is really Hendon Hooker's rookie season because he didn't play last year. He was only elevated the last 6 games so that the Lions could help him earn 1 full season of NFL accruity, because if he would have sat, his contract would have been told, he would have not earned a full season to play, which goes for his benefits as an athlete, you know, as an NFL, you know, employee. He's got to earn his time to get his benefits. That's why the Lions elevated him. It wasn't for anything else other than that. So if he's really a rookie this year and we can watch him sit this year, by the time he does get an opportunity to play, let's say it's 2025. Well, now he's got a full season where he's played through the entire season. He can still get a contract extension. Exactly what happened with Jordan Love. The Green Bay Packers are like, oh, you know, okay, Jordan, you haven't played and since you've been a rookie, but you know what? We're going to extend you now because we think you're going to be good, but we're going to give you a cheap contract now and extend you now, expecting you to be good. And if you're not, well, at least it's not that expensive. So, yeah, keep on going, Rob.
Look,
come on, tell him, preach to him, man.
My thing is, man, do you just want to be great at the moment, or you want to be great long term?
Right.
Right now is Jared Goff. Long term is keep investing in the Hooker. All right, put him around all the right people. Because you know what? I'm starting to figure out. I'm starting to figure out Brad Holmes, because
we talked about that. He ain't really spend that much money. Like, some people say, he's low balling like players, whatever. He's being cheap. But I think that he's doing this because I think he's really focused on just making sure he keep that core around. And that core is Jared Goff, Amon-Ra, Ben Panay, and Aiden. Like, I feel like he feel like, as long as we got at least 4 out of our 5 core with us long term, we might not win it all this time, but we gonna always be in the mix. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, I mean, I'm glad you brought up the other guys' names because we know that Penei Sewell's not going anywhere. We do know that Brad Holmes wants to keep the guys that he drafts that are worth keeping around on this team. So it doesn't mean the guys like Malcolm Rodriguez are always going to stick around. It doesn't mean like, your later round picks are always going to stick around. But, the guys that help this team win and make this team successful, they're going to stick around. And you know what? You don't have to give them some giant extension contract right now. You have to play at least 3 seasons before your contract can even be extended or restructured at all anyway. So Aiden Hutchinson is not due until 2026. After this next season, then he'll be due. So I'm sorry, 2025 is when they could start talking extension. Amon-Ra is due now. Ali McNeil is due now. If they want to do it, they can do it, but they don't have to. But then you're taking the risk of them leaving in free agency.
Yeah. So it's like he's playing chess with it. But look, for saying all that, that's why I feel like this is why you don't rush a guy like Hendon Hooker. There's so many things we need to take care of now. Like we trying to win a championship. I would say at least in the next 3 or 4 years. You know what I'm saying? So, right, we got to keep the core guys first. We need to focus on them first. Ender, he's a safety net. Especially maybe we put a little pressure off of Goff sometimes. Some games, like if Goff is not feeling well, hey, at least we got a young quarterback to go out there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that can help Goff. You know what I'm saying? Down, especially trying to add more games down in the season now, which is ridiculous. But let him grow. He's the future. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and he's the future only for so long too, because he is an older rookie. I mean, when you look at Hendon Hooker's trajectory, he'll probably be 27 years old by the time Goff would exit this team at the earliest. So even if he's 27, look, the prime for a quarterback is between age 26 and 29. That is like their prime that you want to get these guys in the house. And from there on,
I don't know, bro.
If you keep them another 3 or 4 years, that's their prime. That's when these quarterbacks are the best. That's when they've seen it all. Their processing's the best. They're still young enough. You look at Kirk Cousins, dude just got a bag at 35. Aaron Rodgers is about to be 42 years old, making $60 million this year.
But you know what? You're making a good point. But that's the reason why his age don't really matter, because these quarterbacks, you can play quarterback up to 50 if you want.
Yeah, you can.
So they really not aging.
Joe Flacco just did it.
So, and I think the fact that his age, when he do have his time in the future, now he just don't have to. He just didn't put in the time. Now he's maturing because of his age now. So the mentality will change as well. It'll be a different mentality. I don't need you to be the best. Like, I just need you, hey, what Dan always talks about, do your job. Keep us in the game. Make more decisions than bad decisions. That's why, look at a guy like Geno Smith.
Mm-hmm.
His career supposed to have been over years ago. But guess what? He's a different Geno Smith. He's 33, 34. And he got $100 million. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, his processing, his processing's different. When you get older, you get wiser.
Yeah.
I think that there's no doubt to that. I mean, I think that I finally grew up. I'm about to be 44 years old. I think I finally grew up at age 38. Like that's when things started to finally make more sense to me. You know what I mean? It's like men, we grow older, or we get wiser slower. It seems like, I don't know why, but for a quarterback, it seems like when they hit their peak, it's like that 26 to 29, and then bang, it's like the next 3 to 4 years after that, man, you got to put a team around them, because that's when things really start to make sense for them. Because they just got the crap kicked out of them. When, these young rookies, they're going to teams for one of two reasons. If they're a high draft pick, they're going to a crap team unless somebody traded up to get them. Right? So they just got the crap kicked out of them for 4 or 5 seasons because they went to a crap team. And then they go to another team and then they play well. So it's the second, it's the second contract guys that you want. That's who you want. The second contract guys.
But that's why, we talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
That's why, like I said, that's why it's important to, sign the core guy.
Mm-hmm.
I picture this. I feel like by the time Hendon Hooker actually become a starter, I feel like only guys who probably be there is for sure Panay, Sam Laporta, maybe Amara, and
J-Mo.
I would say
Gibbs.
Aiden. I think Aiden will be there at least.
Gibbs will be there.
So, like you said, right? Putting the right guys around a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So I think as long as you keep them core guys, these 4 out of 5 of them guys, or 3 out of 5 of them guys, they're long term. I think it would help. That would help him a lot. So now you got guys that been there. They can, put you on game. Help you out as well. So, and they reliable target. So.
Well, let me throw this at you, because I keep hearing this, and I want to get your take on it too, like I asked John. So I'm we're being told that Jared Goff is only good because we've got a really good offensive line and he's got a really good team around him. Look, we still had a 19th ranked defense, and we were ranked some of the worst in some of the worst areas on defense. We were the worst. And our offense was good. Our offensive line was top 3. Our running backs were like top 5 and top 15 or something like that between Demo and Gibbs. We had one elite receiver, and then we had a rookie that just blew the top off as a tight end. But last year, Goff didn't have that. Last year, Goff had Reynolds and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And Jamal Williams barely broke 1,000 yards. So it's not like he's got this great amount of weaponry around him. Imagine what kind of quarterback it takes to take a rookie tight end to where he just took him. That doesn't happen on every team. So the question for you, Rob, would be this. Is Goff really good because he has a really good team around him? Or does Goff make all of these players around him better because of his experience and his knowledge and his leadership and his ability to read a defense and get the ball out on time? And he has a good offensive line.
I think it's a little bit of both.
There we go.
I think, let's say, that we struggled when he first got here. You know what I'm saying?
He didn't have any weapons. Everybody was hurt before week 1.
First off, people can say what they want, but the man went to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
So he's good. He had a talent. You know what I'm saying? So he struggled with the Lions in the beginning. But he started bringing guys like Daniel Johnson. I think he upgraded at the second year, Goff being here as the offensive coordinator, and they clicked. You know what I'm saying? I don't see nothing wrong with a quarterback that needs, help, or need that person to help guide them. Like, I don't see nothing wrong with that. And plus, I feel like he made guys better too. I feel like he made Amon-Ra better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Josh Reynolds better. I always say, people say Josh Reynolds is reliable. He's very reliable. But let's keep it real. We made Josh Reynolds away. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was coming off the practice squad. Josh
is going to have a rough season in Denver, man. That guy just went to end his career. That's too bad. So quick question in here from Bucky.
Man.
Oh, hold on, Rob.
I don't know about that.
quick question. Well, he doesn't have a quarterback to throw to him just yet, unless they pick up a quarterback. I don't know who's throwing him the ball, So quick question from Bucky in here. It's asking how worried I am about Caleb Williams. And so this is a real question. The Bears have spent a ton of money on players, a bunch of misfits. They have not created, in my opinion, any culture. They're just grabbing all these free agents that don't necessarily have chemistry together. They have not played together. And now you're putting all of these guys in one room to say, get along and work it out. And that is the most difficult and challenging thing I think that any coach has to deal with, is creating the camaraderie and the chemistry and gelling together as a team. And I think that's why Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are so keyed in on my guys. I've got to know them. I've got to draft them. They have to be my guys. They have to be a certain guy, because that chemistry, and to your point earlier, Rob, I don't need you to be the best. I just need you to do your job. Yeah. And then I need you, Amon-Ra, to do your job. And then Goff, I need you to do your job, and Aiden for you to do your job. And nobody needs to win the stat line. I just need you to win the game. That's how Dan Campbell coaches this team. So to your question, Bucky, am I worried about Caleb Williams going to Chicago? Not really, because I think it's a poorly run team. I think it's a poorly coached team. I think Caleb Williams is a mess. I hope Chicago takes him, because I would be taking Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams all day. What do you think, Rob? Are you worried about it?
Man, Chicago is dumb, bro. Like, they did us a favor from trading Justin Fields, because Justin Fields, I ain't gonna lie, he was having our number, bro.
Yep.
Like, now and it's the thing, they so stupid, bro. Like, this is how dumb the Bears are, bro. They traded a first pick last year because they didn't want to draft a quarterback. So but instead of keeping their number one pick, just pick the best possible player, they traded a first pick. Now, one thing we always said about Justin Fields, right? Hey, if you give him an O-line, maybe better target, hey, he could really do something.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that Charles, once they fired their offensive coordinator mid-season, and he started going crazy. Not with his legs, but his arm, Mm-hmm. And I'm like, damn, you bring Caleb, Keenan Allen, Swift, I'm like, all right. I'm like, all right, that's something, because now how you going to check him now? You know what I'm saying? Because he got weapons, it get tricky. But once they traded him, I'm like, man, oh my God, this is hilarious.
So I've always
you trust your this how look, bro. Look, you trust your rookie quarterback who's not even on a team yet more than your young veteran player. That's how crazy do that sound.
Well, what's crazy? What's crazy to me is I've always been kind of a Justin Fields hater to a point, because I knew once he was able to get, like you said, a good offensive line around him, and he was able to settle down in the pocket and get a little bit more mature behind the pocket, or, behind his line, and trust the pocket. He does have a decent arm, an arm that's good enough that it can really hurt you. And we've seen that start to happen last year, but then he always got flushed out of the pocket, and he always, used his legs first as opposed to using his head and his arm. I think that they were just an offensive line away and maybe a little bit more chemistry, that Justin Fields was going to start to break out. And you're going to see that in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin is no nonsense. He's going to have Justin Fields whipped into shape. And once Russell Wilson is gone, or if Russell Wilson even, beats out Justin Fields is going to resurrect his career. He will.
But Chicago's so disrespectful, bro. They gave that man up for a box of cookies, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like, the disrespect, bro. Hey, come on, yo. That's how you value him, right?
Yeah.
They can tell that, well, we was trying to look out for his best interest, make sure you get to a team, a home before training to blah blah blah. Man, stop it, bro. And then you turn him to a spot where he's gonna be the backup.
Yeah, they totally ruined that kid's career.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's on his second contract soon. He'll resurrect his career. He'll end up somewhere where somebody values what he does. It just wasn't the Bears. Ryan Poles, I'm sorry, the guy is a mess. He is all over the place. So another quick question in here. Where did it go? All right. So Colby, Devil Squad 7 says, Will, do you think that we'll ever get rid of the reporting rule? So I put out a video the other day where I had mentioned the NFL took a pretty hard stance against the Lions and their requests to review what happened in the Cowboys game this last season. And they said, we're not doing anything about it. We just expect to have better officiating in the future, but we're not saying it was the officiating. We're saying it was you. You got caught up in deceptive activity, and it was, your fault. It blew up in your face, which was the wrong stance. I think that the reporting rule should be changed. And quite honestly, I think that it should be this simple. You are supposed to know how players line up and if they're lined up in a position where they are eligible. And I think that that's how you make it be. No rule, no reporting rule. Go in, line up, be smarter than the other team. That's how you beat other teams, is that you have your guys prepared, and the Lions are prepared.
Yeah.
Straight up, they're prepared. They know they know what they're doing. Train your defense, because I keep hearing that. Well, if they would have told the Cowboys who was eligible, they would have guarded them. Well, they should have been smart enough to recognize it right away.
It's like it's a dumb rule, bro. Are you telling me like why I gotta report if I'm eligible to be the receiver? Like,
Exactly.
I don't get. Like that's the case. Do a running back should report, but he's not the receiver. So it's like I don't know, bro. All these rules, bro, man, they low key. I mean, people gonna still watch, and I feel like still gonna be entertaining. But man, it's like, dang, bro, it's like, hey, now do you teach kids now how to play like the NFL play? Because obviously we doing it wrong.
The one thing. And so this next question in here says from Brent. He says, "Can the Bears actually train up a quarterback to be a great quarterback? It seems to me that quarterbacks go there to die." You ain't lying, Brent. I can't even tell you the last time the Bears really had a good quarterback. I mean, was it Cutler? Was Cutler like their last decent quarterback? They've always been a defensive team, in my opinion. I can't even remember the last great quarterback that the Bears had.
Man, it's been a long time, bro.
It's been a minute. So I think the Bears
Cutler,
they need to work on the inside out, in my opinion. You've got to start on the inside out, work from the trenches, and work your way out. And look, you do what the Lions did. They've kind of created the blueprint, in my opinion, but it's not a blueprint that hasn't been around. It's the blueprint that's been around, but none of the past Lions coaches and GMs have done it this well together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lastly, Rob, I got one more. I got one. Go ahead. And then I got one more for you.
No, I was going to say, hey, Jay Cutler robbed the Bears so bad. They gave him all that money. Now they go to the playoffs once.
Yeah. So, I mean, Jim McMahon, Mitchell Trubisky. So you had Mitchell Trubisky, Justin Fields, Eric Kramer, Jay Cutler, Rex Grossman over the last, 20, 25 years. So Jim McMahon and Jim Harbaugh were probably the last great quarterbacks that played for Chicago. You had Kyle Orton too. I mean, that was back in the day. I mean, he wasn't anybody. He wasn't great anyway.
Right.
So you really haven't had anybody. So Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes at the owners meeting, they were both quoted as saying something different. Brad Holmes says, "I don't see cornerback as a need." Dan Campbell says he's still looking for a cornerback in free agency. This is the first time I have ever heard these two not be on the same page. Do you think this is gamesman? Do you think it's gamesmanship? Like they're good cop, bad cop kind of before the draft? Or do you think that maybe they're not on the same page?
Well, okay, so let's keep things in context, right? You said, okay, and I've seen an interview. So Brad said we don't need a cornerback.
Yeah, he said
Brad
cornerback is
said
no longer in need.
But okay.
But Dan said he's looking for one in free agency. Yeah.
So I say this. Hey, just because I might not need a lot of things doesn't mean I'm not going to get it. I never said he wasn't going to get one. Never said he wasn't looking for it. He said it's just not a need. But if it's the right person, the right player, the right situation, all right, I'm all ears because he's business. And he's been proven he's standing on business.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he don't care. And you know what? Detroit fans really met they match, right? Because, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, we so used to losing. When we winning, we gonna always find a problem, right? You know what I'm saying? Well, we always gonna find a problem. What this person not doing? But you know, you got a GM, you know, where he made it clear. I don't care what you think. Yeah, I told y'all so. You know, and we're gonna do our way or the highway.
You know, all right, so that's another point. Brad Holmes, man, he came out with the ego just tripping on the reporters and the beat writers in the room that day. He let them all have it at the end of the season press conference. And, you know, I thought that was great, but I'm starting to get this sense from Brad Holmes, like he thinks his poop don't stink. If he botches up this draft and you know, this team does not get an edge rusher or doesn't address the defense to be better this season, he's not going to have that same moxie come next, you know, postseason. He's got to fix it. The offense has been fine. If he can't see that the defense has got some major problems and he went out and picked the wrong guys and then doesn't draft the right guys behind him, what are we going to say then? I mean, he's allowed to have some screw ups here or there, but this is one you can't screw up. Like, you cannot screw up this offseason and draft after what the Lions just did and the turnaround that they've accomplished. He can't screw it up. So if he screws it up, Rob, where are you at? What are you thinking?
He got to show me first because, hey, since he's been our GM, things only been up, you know. And my thing is, when we talk about ego, I don't look at it as an ego. I just look at it. He's just confident with it, you know. And let's keep real. He's human. He heard people talking, man. He heard people talk. You know, some people calling him and down out. You know what I'm saying? Before they even got the job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now, you know, look. I said, look, ego, no ego, man. Look, let's keep winning. If ego mean win, I'm okay with that. Because obvious not having an ego, it's been not all it did is bring us L's. You just been losing. You know what I'm saying? Hey, long we get some wins and we get a Super Bowl. Hey, ego all up.
So I guess
have an ego with you.
Right. So he and I would too. So here's and it would last for a while, like probably the rest of my life. You know, here's where I'm at. You know, what he did to those poor reporters and beat writers in that room, that's the minute that they should have felt, man, I've arrived, because Brad Holmes remembered what I said about Derek Barnes. He remembered what I said about Penei Sewell and you know, not taking Jamar Chase. He remembered the things that I said negatively. So I haven't heard Brad Holmes say anything negative about me, but I don't think that he's really listening yet either. So we'll see. Maybe someday. Hopefully I don't get anything. Hopefully I don't piss him off. I'm sure I have, but I don't think that he's listening either. So cool, man. Rob, I appreciate you. Appreciate you for calling in tonight. What do you want to finish with?
Oh, no, man. No, not much, man. Hey, thank you again. You know, so this was fun. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, you know, I can't wait to keep doing this with you. But yeah.
Well, you still got to get on. So when your schedule gets together, just let me know so we can get you on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right, buddy.
I got you, bro.
All right, have a good night.
All right, bro.
See ya.
All right.
All right. You know, Rob is trying to tell us, listen, let Hooker be Hooker. Let him be the backup for now. Let him sit. Let him learn. Yeah, I'll jump into the Surtain thing, but I can, since you guys have already told me where it's come from, I would stake like 100-1 odds that it's false. So I won't waste a ton of time on it. Yeah. Come on. Like, really? All I have to say is, if you go back and listen to somebody's calls and all the things that they said were going to happen, and they literally got every single one of them wrong, sources don't do that to you. That would make you look like a fool. If you're, I would never have that source again. Let's just put it that way. If my source kept telling me, hey, this is happening, and it never happens over and over and over and over and over again, at some point, you have to look at your source and say, what's going on here? Are you just feeding me lies? Feed me something that actually works out. Otherwise, I'm done. That's how you deal with sources. Or you need to have a really good relationship with a source so that the things that they tell you are actually accurate. Or you need to become a source yourself and pick up the phone and call and get statements. Yeah, we've heard it all. Newsom, we've heard it all. Surtain, we've heard J.C. Horn. I mean, we've heard it all. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. Surtain is in it. You know what? If he does come, great. Here's the one thing that I do know. If I go on and make a video every single day and I say this person's coming and this person's coming and this person's coming and this every day, at some point, I'm going to get one right, because there's only so many people to talk about that actually make sense to come to Detroit. And, you know, it's just about the numbers. You got to put enough content out there to get something right. So, Lauren McQuaig, do I think that we're going to re-sign Brock Wright? I really don't. And that's my personal opinion. That is not from a source. I have not spoken to anybody about this situation today. The Lions have 5 days. So we'll know next week, Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't know if it's 5 business days or just 5 days, probably just 5 days. We know the NFL doesn't sleep, man. It's 24/7, 365. So, I guess what I would say is, I think that committing to 3 years to Brock Wright is probably a little bit too rich for Brad Holmes' blood right now. I just don't see him doing that. I do. When I look at what Brad Holmes is doing now, this is not definitive. Okay. I don't know everything, but as an educated guess, what I would say is, when you look at what I call roster roulette, is when you want to get a certain position every year in the draft that helps you plan your roster out. Like I said, they've probably looked at this, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. If I get a defensive end in 2021, I'll need to get another one in 2024, so that when this one's ready to get paid, I've got this one that's not due for a few more years yet, so that they can afford it. That's what roster roulette is all about. I get a wide receiver in 2022. I'm going to need to get another wide receiver in 2024. So that way that they're on opposite ends of getting contracts. They didn't expect Amon-Ra to do what he did, or maybe he did. But Amon-Ra is kind of like that kink in the chain now, because it was unexpected. So you get Amon-Ra in 2021, you have to get one in 2024, because you need good quality wide receiver depth that, can bring you along with Amon-Ra if they're going to pay Amon-Ra. And we don't know if they're going to pay him yet. Yep. Adam, to your point, Brad said that we are at stage 2. And I think stage 1, if you look at it, It was to build your initial foundation, to build your core. They've got a good core. They've gone through 3 drafts, and now stage 2, after getting to the playoffs, which was stage 1 was to get to the playoffs. They said that last year. Playoffs or bust. They wanted the NFC North, all roads go through Detroit, playoffs or bust. They did that. They went further than, expected. Brad Holmes will tell you that was expected, though. They expected to make it to the NFC title game. They expected to go to the Super Bowl. Every team does in March, expects to go to the Super Bowl. But things change. Players get injured, and there's only so much money. There's only so many players to go around. So I would say stage 2 is now it's time to re-sign some of the guys that you have drafted. And now it's going into the next phase of the guys that you're bringing in through the draft that you're going to hopefully keep around and give them their second contract. So I don't know if that means that they would even dare draft another quarterback at some point. I doubt it. Don't really need it. I think that when you bring in a guy like Sudfeld, I think that tells you a couple of things about Hendon Hooker, even though they have said that they don't know what they have. I think that gives you the idea that they have some confidence that Hendon Hooker is going to be a solid number 2, because I don't care who you are or what you think, because there's no way I didn't finish that, or what you think about Sudfeld. There is no way that Sudfeld is competition for Hooker. There's just no way. Polar opposite quarterbacks. Sudfeld has never been good, ever, in any preseason game, in any fill-in in 2020. I don't care what game he came in. He was terrible. Absolutely terrible. He's a camp body. That's all he is. So phase 2, I think they're going to continue to build the depth. I think that they're going to bring back, and extend the players that they've drafted. And that's a big part of phase 2. Question here by J-Rod says, Will, no question. I watched both your shows. I just had an epiphany. The players he mentions, I wonder if his source is just giving a team. It's not the player, but a player from the same team. Yeah, I don't know, J-Rod. No clue. I don't watch any of the shows. I don't have time to watch any of them. I hear stuff from other people. I just don't. I don't have the time to do it, man. I got my own things to take care of. Let's see here. Does stage 2 mean that we trade for someone? We already did, Adam. We traded for Carlton. Obviously, that was, a draft pick for Carlton. I still think that was a bad idea. I really do. Not that Carlton's going to be bad. I think that Carlton's going to be better. I just, I don't know. I guess I'm sticking to my guns on this one. Like, I would have expected that we wouldn't have brought back Brock Wright, or, Zielstra, Mitchell, just because he's on a rookie deal. But, I like Brock because, of his run game support. I really do. But Zielstra, we tendered him. I don't even know if he signed his tender. So that could be another one that doesn't come to Detroit. I don't remember if he signed his tender or not. But what I'm saying here is I would have expected that tight end would have been part of the draft plan, and maybe, putting the tenders out and getting these guys signed now to cheap deals, which Brock Wright wouldn't have been a cheap deal, still would have left the door open for another rookie tight end. That's a position that is starting to gain more traction for higher wages. And it's going to change, when you've got guys like Sam Laporta, who, if he continues at the trajectory that he's going at, he's going to get paid just like Kittle. He's going to get paid just like Kelsey. He's going to be that $15-20 million a year guy without a doubt. And that's going to be in 3 seasons. So he's got 2 more. And then he's going to be looking for a contract if he stays healthy and on the same trajectory. And that's where things start to get that's where things, start to get funny, with the cap is you can only keep so many. That's the thing. Mitchell can be a low-key weapon. Look, I had high expectations for Mitchell. The thing that I was worried about was he was coming from an ACL. And so when you look at his career so far, last year he busted up his hand, couldn't finish the season. The season before that, he was, rehabbing his ACL. And I think that makes it quite difficult for a player to come back from in year one. We saw it with Jameson Williams too. It took him, really 2 seasons to finally find his legs again. And I think since the Denver game of last year is when JMO found his legs again. And I think that this year is the no excuse year for JMO. Can't be dropping balls. He's got to connect with Jared. He has to build that off-season chemistry. If it were me, I would be attached to Goff's hip. I would ask to live with Goff. Like, bro, can we just all wide receivers, tight ends, can we just come stay with you for like a month and just work on our craft? That's me. That's what I would be doing if I had that opportunity. Highly unlikely that it happens very often, but that's what I would be doing. If you really wanted to win and you didn't treat it as a job, I would do anything that I could to bend the NFL rules to get more time in with my team. And that's one way you could do it. I really hope that we have a great season with JMO. I really do. You traded all the way up to pick 12 to get him, and he's got to work out because otherwise that whole trade was kind of busted. And we lost a lot of draft capital, just like we lost a lot of draft capital with Broderick Martin. I realized they were late round picks, but that could have been, another diamond in the rough that we could have found. And I haven't gone back to analyze, I went through the entire draft again, and there really wasn't anybody that just stood out. But the question is, would they have stood out on this team in the way that this team is built? I guess is the big question. Yeah, I don't know about JMO being number 1. I mean, he's definitely number 2 right now, but we'll see. Lauren McQuaig, there are a few excellent running backs in this draft. Most of them have been relegated to the 5th round. I do think that, Blake Corum does have an opportunity to get taken earlier, but this draft is kind of light too for running backs. I mean, there's a few. Blake Corum is one of them. I haven't even gotten into all the running backs yet. I've got to get back to doing more content on players. So I'm going to do safeties still. I'll start working on it tomorrow. Get the videos finished and out tomorrow. I lost all of my work. My computer got dumped 3 times this week, and I lost everything. I wasn't supposed to lose it because it's supposed to be in some damn cloud somewhere, and it's still up there. Hasn't come back yet. Full slate farms. Leggett is a reach at 29. I would almost agree with that. If he was 6'3" still and not 6'1" or 6 foot like he measured, then he wouldn't be a reach. But his measurements knocked him down a few rungs for me. So I think the last thing I'll finish with, which I kind of started with a little bit, but the kickoff rule. So I started to talk about the Lions potentially targeting a speedy wide receiver. Now that we're talking a little bit about draft stuff here. And in my opinion, I think that this kickoff rule is changing things. We know that Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, Dave Phipp, Ben Johnson, I mean, all those guys love special teams. They invest in special teams. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, I think, solidifies that. They have value in special teams. But now You need powerful guys that have speed. That rule should have been changed before free agency. Because now you're probably looking back at the guys you brought in like, well, shoot, I would have went after this guy had I known that on kickoffs we're only 5 yards apart from each other now. We don't get a running start. So what does that do for the guys like Jason Kabinda and Jalen Reeves-Maben who don't have elite speed? So you need guys with power and speed. And then your returners need to be all speed. Like nobody invested in returners like they used to because you didn't need them. Only 20% of the time was a kick ever returned, if it was even that much. So now I think that there's a potential that the Lions are going to be looking for somebody like a Worthy. Where do you get him? I don't know. Probably the second round. Even though he's quite small at like 168 pounds or whatever he is, he ran the fastest 40 ever, 4.21 or whatever it was. That's the kind of game changer you can now utilize in special teams. So if the Lions can, put a point total to the season and say, and I don't know what the numbers are, I'll look eventually. Let's say they scored 100 points off of special teams last year, not including field goals and, extra points. Well, let's say they somehow scored 100 points off special teams. You get a turnover on a kickoff, and then that turns into a touchdown or a field goal on the ensuing, possession. That's what I'm talking about. Let's just say the number's 100. And this is fictitious numbers. While this year, because special teams, is now changed with the kickoff rule, we think we can add an extra 50 points to that. 50 points over, 17 games could be the difference of winning, 3, 4, 5, 6 games more than what you're expected to win. And again, these are all fictitious numbers. I'm just throwing them out there so you guys get an idea of what I'm talking about. It may be worth investing into a speedster because I don't think you really want to risk JMO or risk Gibbs back there, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I just wouldn't do it. I'd want to keep my offense, and I want to keep my special teamer. This is why I've always felt like your center needs to be your long snapper. So you need to find a center that can also be a long snapper and eliminate the long snapper position. Totally get rid of it. Your fullback, no longer a fullback. You bring in an extra tight end. You bring in an extra linebacker. You bring in an extra safety. That is now your fullback. You get rid of that position. Yeah, I hear you, Adam. Put him in the big games, 100%. I believe it. Yeah, Tim, we definitely have a speedy receiver, man. JMO. And JMO's got long speed. He's got long speed. Yeah, Bucky, those are all fictitious numbers, buddy. Fictitious. Just making numbers up just for talking purposes. I didn't do any research on how many points they scored off of special teams, but now I'm going to. It'll be a video at some point. We'll be talking about it. How many years do I feel comfortable for Hendon Hooker playing? Look, I think he can put 10 years in this league. Easy, especially as a backup quarterback. He could put 15 in. He's a little bit older, compared to other rookies, but that's why I liked him. Because he was more mature. He played 5 seasons in college football. I just did not like the system he came from. But high quality backup, he'll be fine. A starter in this league, we just don't know yet. We don't know what we don't know. And we haven't seen him take a snap. So I'm going to reserve judgment on, who Hendon Hooker could potentially be in the NFL until I see him in training camp and until I see him playing, at a high level in preseason, even though those games are meaningless. That's what we have to look forward to. I mean, we're not there every single day, walking the sidelines with Brad Holmes and watching these guys. This year will be a little bit different. I'll have a, press credential. I should be able to get into, more opportunity. I just don't live over there, so it's harder for me to do it. I don't know how fast DPJ is, Rob. I don't remember his speed. I don't know if he has breakneck speed like that. JMO has long speed. Gibbs is faster, like 0 to 40, and JMO is faster, like 35, and beyond. At least that's what Amon-Ra St. Brown said. That Gibbs was faster than JMO in shorter distances, but JMO will get you in the end. He just keeps getting faster, and you'll see that there was some tape that I watched on JMO a while back where his GPS just kept getting, kept going up and up and up and up as he continued to run. And that's what I think that everyone was so enamored with, with JMO. So, all right, we are now past the 10 o'clock hour, and we're going to be signing off for tonight's show. I appreciate you guys joining us for the new version of Friday Night Live. I think we did okay. Next time I want to get more into the chat, take some more phone calls. But next time we're going to limit phone calls to 5 minutes or less. That way we can try to fit in, at least 8. I like to do at least 40 minutes to an hour of phone calls and get questions, more questions from you guys. So let's try that next time. Next week, Friday, we'll continue with the same thing. We'll do Friday Night Live. And then the schedule, I put it on the community tab just to kind of give you guys an idea of what I want to do in the content to make it a little bit different. So it's not me just doing a highly structured show. So Mondays will be mock draft Mondays from here on out through the draft. Wednesdays is going to be our midweek roundup. We're going to be doing news and rumors, just kind of what's going on, with the Lions and maybe, things around the league. And phone lines are going to be open on Wednesdays. Fridays, exactly what we did tonight. Friday night chat. It's live, and which means you guys call in. Phone lines are open, but we're going to try to do the show based on, the things that you guys are giving me. And then Sunday is, hey, new week, new business. What are we expecting for the week? And what are we hearing over the weekend as far as what's going on with the Lions? So that's kind of the content. Now, once the draft is here and gone, it's going to switch again. I might throw in Lions Legends between now and the draft if we have time. I might throw in like an extra night here or there, or do some longer recorded pods like on Thursday. So Thursdays, I'm going to try to drop a 30 to 60 minute podcast that's pre-recorded. And it'll be released, sometime between 8 and 9 p.m. Just last night, it took 2 hours to upload. So that way you guys know, you'll at least be getting something podcast wise, and then more videos. I got to get back on the horse and start doing the videos. But anyway, appreciate you guys. If you guys have any questions, comments, topics, email them, info@rockedonpodcastnetwork.com. And I think that's it. I think you guys have been great. Looks like everyone had a well-behaved night. It's Friday. It's 10 o'clock here in March 29, 2024. And this show is over. We'll see you guys in the next one. Go Lions. Go One Pride. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.